everybody, welcome to Yorkshire Wildlife Park. My name is Tony and I'll be giving the talk on our wallabies today. Sorry we're running a little bit late, I have just had a little bit of a trip and not a fun kind I'm afraid. So just to start off, we do have two species of wallabies in here. We can actually see them both for once. We have our swamp wallaby, which is the one just hopping over towards the pile of spilled feed over there. And we also have our lovely Bennett's wallabies, also known as the redneck wallabies, which is our main group we've got. Now there's not much difference between the two species. Your swamp wallaby is generally much darker and has an orange chest and belly. She also tends to be a little bit on the smaller side, while our Bennett's wallabies are more of a grey colour with a lovely red on the back of their necks, as you can see with these. They are both what we call marsupials. They are also both in another group called the macropods, which is Latin for big foot. Another species in the macropod group is the kangaroos. Now these aren't the same species as kangaroos, they are completely different. We do get a lot of people asking, are these baby kangaroos? No, if we had kangaroos in here, especially if we had male kangaroos in here, we wouldn't have it as a walkthrough. Your male kangaroos can get up to 6 feet tall and can be very, very aggressive. These guys, this is as big as they normally get, although we have got one that's a little bit bigger than this. And they're much more nervous, more likely to run away than they are to try and fight something, because they know they are prey, and that if they want to survive, they're better off running than trying to pick a fight with a dingo, for example. Now, as marsupials, our female wallabies do have pouches, although they can be a little bit hard to see when they don't have joeys in them. When the baby is born, the wallaby is only pregnant for a month. That is the longest pregnancy of any marsupial, but it's still only a month-long pregnancy. They give birth to a tiny joey about the size of a jelly bean, or to be more precise, about an inch long. That little joey has no fur and barely developed arms and legs, but it will still crawl up into the pouch from where it is born, all by itself. After that, it will latch onto a teat, which will then swell inside its mouth to act a bit like a seatbelt, so it can't fall out while mum's hopping around. Because of how small they are, we tend not to notice this. They normally give birth at night. I do believe one of our security guards has seen it now and then, but I haven't personally. The only way I know about it is from what I was told and from seeing videos online. Now, we normally don't see the joeys for the first time until they're about 3 months old. This is when we see a little pink head sticking out. It still has no fur, but it now has arms and legs. It looks a lot more like a proper joey. At this point, it may come out, but only in really good warm weather, because it doesn't have fur. It's got nothing to protect itself from, for example, heat or from rain or anything like that. It's very prone to overheating or getting too cold, so chances are you won't see it coming out all the way. At about 4 months, we see this lovely soft velvet fur start to appear. And again, it might come out. That fur does give it some protection from being too warm. It does give it a little bit of warmth when it's cold weather. But it's not very waterproof. It's no good for long-term protection. So again, normally it will just stay in that nice warm pouch. But then at 5 months, we start to see much thicker fur, much like our adult wallaby's fur is. And this is the point where they will come out the pouch properly and begin to explore. You might see them boxing with their mum a little bit. Some of the more confident ones, and we have got one around at the moment, likes to go around and basically pick a fight with every adult wallaby he's ever seen. He is quite funny when he does that because he's so tiny. But otherwise, they will stay close to mum. They will go back in when it feels dangerous. They will go back in when it's cold weather or windy or wet. And of course, they will go back in to drink. This will carry on until they're about 10 months old, at which point they will try and get in, find they're too big and fall back out again, and that's basically how they learn they're independent. They might go back for a quick drink and just lean in with the head, but otherwise they're their own wallaby, and most of our joeys are now at this stage here. The vast majority will not be going back to their mums at all. At about a year old, we consider them adults. This is the point where we normally give them their microchip, which is how we identify our wallabies. They are very similar, I'm sure a lot of you can tell. It's quite difficult to tell the difference between them. I can name a couple of the ones we've got here, but most of them are quite difficult to tell apart. So they all have microchips, and when we scan those chips, it tells us that wallaby's name and all its history. Now once they're adults, of course, they won't be drinking milk anymore. They need their own proper food. In the wild, this is things like grasses, ferns, leaves. They'll even take the bark off of trees. Here at Yorkshire Wildlife Park, we feed them a pellet mix that gives them all the nutrition. But that can get a bit boring just having the same thing day in, day out. So we also give them a mixture of lettuce, cabbage and broccoli, just to make sure they don't get bored and so they've got something nice and tasty in there as well. You will see a lot of our wallabies do seem to prefer the pellets instead though, and will just ignore the lettuce entirely. Now in the wild, they do have a few predators out there. The main ones we've got at the moment are the dingo, a species of wild dog that will hunt them down. But another one is also the wedge-tailed eagle. This is a massive bird of prey and it sometimes hunts in flocks and can take down animals as big as a fully grown kangaroo. But they do tend to prefer to pick on the smaller ones like our wallabies here. So occasionally when a pigeon or a crow flies overhead, they get terrified thinking it's a big scary eagle, even though they've never seen an eagle in their entire lives. There's not too much threatening them in the wild though. They are what we call least concern, so they're not an endangered species at all. But threats that can threaten them do also threaten our more vulnerable wildlife like koalas, and that's things such as wildfires. I'm sure a lot of you remember the 2019-2020 wildfires that would have caused so much damage. It's also climate change. We're seeing a lot more wet weather, less dry weather, which might seem great, but the dry weather has its place as well in the ecosystem there. It gives plants a chance to rest and recharge and kind of regrow, and it's just not getting that so much. We're also getting more flooding over there in the wet seasons. The other threat is, unfortunately, farmers. Wallabies do love their veggies. They will go onto a farmer's field and just destroy the whole lot of crop and eat the whole lot for themselves. They're a bit like the rabbits of Australia, really. And unfortunately, that does mean they do come into conflict with farmers who will shoot them. They are also hunted for meat, as are animals like the kangaroo, but they're not over-hunted, so they're not doing too badly for themselves out there. If anything, some people consider them a bit overpopulated. That is about everything I've got to say about our wallabies. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask. I am in here all day. But just before I go, I do see we've got a few children here. Would anyone like to answer the question, how many times do you think a wallaby poos in one day? I will let the adults have a guess as well, since we don't have that many children. Anyone got any guesses to shout?
5.
More than 5. More than 20.
100.
More than 100. Any more?
That's the biggest number I know.
200. A single wallaby poos 200 times a day. So while it might look a bit cleaner on that side, that's just because I've been cleaning it all morning. You will look at the other fields, they'll still be quite messy. Well, that is everything I've got to say, as I said before. Please feel free to ask any questions you might have. Hope you enjoy your day and have a good rest of the day here at Yorkshire Wildlife Park.
Was the fur soft?
Fun?
Soft, the fur.
Very soft.
Is it like a dog or a cat?
It's like a dog, but the top... Have you ever petted a husky?
No.
Or another double-coated dog like that?
No.
So basically the top fur is quite coarse and a little on the wiry side, but the under fur is really lovely and soft, because it is a rotary pattern fur that they've got on the top. So,
Do they like cuddles? Do they like cuddles with people?
so most of these you can't get near enough to touch in any case. We've just
One
got one or
just
two.
runs from here to over there.
Yeah, they can travel all around this enclosure if they want to. They can cross the paths as many times as they like.
I didn't know they could do that. Oh, there's a baby one.
Yeah, this is one of our older ones. He's probably about 10, 11 months now.
Look, there's a baby one in there. Why? What? Oh my god. Jumped over the food.
Yep,
It is so good. Oh,
doing their thing.
imagine if they just jumped over and they had a poop in the food.
Do you know how high they can jump? They
That
can jump
high?
a little bit higher than that, in fact. They can jump up to 6 feet high.
Up to that tree.
Not that high, no.
Jump up there.
They can jump a bit higher than quite a few of the adults in here. And they can run up to 30 miles an hour, which is why we ask people
Are they
to keep
allowed
one of
in
the
the
gates
play
closed.
park?
Pardon?
Are they allowed in there?
No, they're not allowed in there. That's a people place.
Can we go there? Can we go there in the play park?
You'd have to ask your family.
You can if you're not a wallaby.
Yeah, wallabies aren't allowed there.
Yeah, because then they'll just attack one.
They've just run away from them
My
now.
brother said, can I get out? There's broccoli in there. There's broccoli in there.
Pardon?
Broccoli in there.
Yeah, they've got some broccoli in there at the moment.
Why is he looking at me?
He heard you talking. So their eyesight's really bad. So from where these two are to you, you're just a blurry blob. They've got really bad eyesight. So they rely quite strongly
So
on
if
their
they were
hearing.
right here, would they not? This
They would
baby
see you if they were
one's
stood
over
here.
there.
But they rely a lot on their hearing, which is why you can see their ears are always moving.
I'll just go and see Grandma.
How close do you have to get to them to scan their chips?
Normally pretty
Do you have to
close.
chase around them?
Most of them we can stand next to and just hold something over them. It's when you actually try and touch them that they get fidgety. A couple of them we do kind of had to chase down a little bit just to. It depends. The intact males are a lot harder to chase after than any others.
Okay.
So
You
it
can kind of see their
depends.
balls, can't you?
I'm about to say our intact males, normally you can see their bits. I say normally. If it's very, very hot or very, very cold, they can actually withdraw them and retract them into the body. So on a day like this, it might be a lot harder to spot. They'll also do that when they feel scared or stressed. Our castrated males have a bald patch because that's where their bits used to be, and now they're gone. And our females are just furry all along, and sometimes if you're lucky you'll get to see a bit of a pouch, but it can be difficult to tell from a distance.